It's like watching the same shitty horror movie over and over again. Things are going good, everything's looking great, and then you fall off the goddamn cliff. Bruins lose 6-3 to Jack Eichel, Chad Johnson, and the Buffalo Sabres. This will probably be one of the more frustrating games the Bruins have all year. I'm not really sure how to approach this review, because simply put, I don't want to sound like a broken record because we keep seeing the same story over and over this season. And as much as I don't want this to be about how the Bruins fell apart, because Buffalo deserves a lot of credit. Jack Eichel was amazing, his best game as a pro from what I've seen. And Chad Johnson, you can't take anything away from Chad Johnson. I loved when he was the Bruins backup here. He did really, really well for us, I thought. Goes to the Islanders, loses his form, goes to Buffalo. You have Robin Lehner go down with injury, and Chad Johnson's really helped carry Buffalo along. And that's one thing that we've kind of seen this year. Unlike in years past where you can be like, oh, this one team is garbage, every team is at least somewhat competitive if you look at the standings. Columbus, bottom of the table right now. You can't necessarily say they're a bad team. Obviously, they got off to a terrible start, but they have some good pieces. Anaheim, still, who knows what the fuck's going on there. But Toronto, as much as Toronto's rebuilding, you can't really say they're a bad team when you see what Leo Komarov's doing, Nazem Kadri, and Morgan Riley. If they could get the goaltending situation, they'd be fine. Even Edmonton, you get Connor McDavid back in that situation. Maybe between Nilsson and Talbot, one of them decides they actually want to be a full-time starter. They're not that bad of a team. So the point being, you don't have an easy game on the schedule, and regardless of how bad Buffalo's been for the past few years, Jack Eichel is an immediate difference maker. Ryan O'Reilly immediately changes the outlook of this franchise. And once again, we've seen it all season long, the Bruins fail to finish down the stretch. Chara and Kevin Miller absolutely fell apart down the stretch. It doesn't help you only had 5 defenders for the majority of the game as Torrey Krug goes down hurt. I pray to God he's not severely injured. If he is, we have Morrow, we have Trotman, and hopefully one of those two really makes the most of the situation. Of course, the Bruins play Ottawa on Sunday, so I imagine we'll be seeing one of those two. Maybe they'll hold out Krug just as precaution. And that's been a thing this season too, is how much depth do the Bruins really have. Obviously with Pasternak hurt, and now coming out that he will be lent out to the Czech World Junior team. Joonas Kemppainen, still injured, a name I honestly haven't mentioned in about 20 games. I almost forgot he was on this team. The depth of this team is going to be tested down the stretch here as we, approach 2016 or get into 2016. And I don't want to treat this as an end-of-the-world situation because there's still many good things going on with the Bruins right now. And a frustrating loss like this, a frustrating loss to St. Louis, certainly isn't the end of the world. But you don't want this to become the norm, and it's been a trend all season, of course, with them not finishing out games. You need more from guys like Jimmy Hayes. Brett Connolly, despite doing some great things, really needs to start scoring some goddamn goals. Louis Eriksson had 2 assists tonight, but again, rough, including 1 turnover that really helped change the pace of the game. It's just frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating for this team to be in a position to overtake Montreal now for the last couple of games. The Canadiens, who have just been abysmal for their last 11 games, I believe they're 1-10 in their last 11 games. You're missing out on your chance, and as it is, Detroit is now top of the Atlantic after tonight. Montreal loses again, but Detroit is now tied with Montreal at 43 points. Detroit only 35 games, Montreal with 37. The Bruins do have 42 points. They're a game behind, only 34 games played. So if they beat Ottawa, they will jump into first place, but you're missing opportunities to gain some points against teams that really, if they turn it on and turn it around, can be very competitive within the Eastern Conference. I mean, Jesus, Montreal, they get Carey Price back, they're going to be right back to normal, and Detroit never misses the fucking playoffs. Doesn't matter who they lose, whether it's players, coaches, you know they're going to make the playoffs. So to lose against teams like Buffalo is just so disheartening and can't happen, especially in the method that it actually happened. And I guess really the only way to sum up this game is just frustration is the perfect word. To tie the game up, 35 seconds, I think, after Evander Kane got the first goal. Matt Bolesky gets a deflection, so happy for him to score a goal. again, in my opinion, the hardest working Bruin on the ice. And then to get 2 extra goals, Krejci and Bergeron at the start of the third period, and then to give up 5 straight goals, 2 empty netters to Buffalo. What else can you say, really? And because of that, that's where I'm going to cut this off. I can be the most pessimistic person on the planet, but I'm trying not to be. The Bruins are still, again, in a good spot in the standings. If they beat Ottawa, this game kind of goes away, and hopefully this isn't a situation where it was last season, where you look back in the standings and be like, oh, hey, if you didn't blow that game against Buffalo, you might have made the playoffs. No question of the game this time out, just positivity as we, just fingers crossed, look towards now the Senators game and hope the Bruins can snap this losing streak. It's only had 2 games. Snap it before it gets to be a hell of a lot worse. I thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.